No books, no boring stuff tonight. I'm gonna make this milk take flight. Watch it swirl and disappear. Magic milk is what you'll see here. I grabbed my sparkly magic wand, waved it in the air over my glass of milk. Abracadabra! I turned the glass over and splish splash, the milk flew all over. Just then Mom walked in with her eyes wide open. Kara, what on earth have you done? Think fast, Kara. Magic is a no-no. I need a super duper excuse and I need it now. Today we learned about gravity in class, so I was doing a special experiment. It's science, you see? Mom looked at the milky mess. Oh, God. Let me help you clean this up, but next time, ask an adult for help. Okay, Mommy. I tried to look extra sweet. Phew. Saved by science. But tomorrow, I'm gonna make that milk disappear for real. And maybe, just maybe, I'll turn it into chocolate milk. Hey there, folks. I'm Kara, and I have a confession to make. You see, I read my mom's very secret diary, and it changed my life forever.
The most boring science teacher and an engineer dad. So while other kids got fairy tales at bedtime, I got quantum mechanics and bridge design. Cozy, huh? So when I started school at age 5, I was different from the other kids. While they played princesses and pirates, I was the one asking, why does the sky change color when the sun sets? And during story time, while others giggled over fairy tales, I'd talk about the logic behind rainbows. Did you know that rainbows are full circles? My classmates thought I was weird for liking magnets more than video games. But over time, I found myself daydreaming about dragons while trying to focus on math. And soon I became caught between what was real and what was not. At home, when I spoke to my parents about it, they didn't seem very interested in what I had to say.
Did you know that when a baby is born, a fairy gets its wings?
Focus on learning things that will help you in life. But it wasn't long before I was obsessed with everything magical, including magic tricks. But my parents thought, magic is a waste of time. So I had to keep it a secret. Then one day we got a new neighbor, but they didn't come with a moving van. Can you imagine rolled in with a giant glittering caravan pulled by 2 elephants? Literally. Mr. Thompson was nothing like the other neighbors. His shirt shimmered with every move. His sequin-covered pants sparkled, and he wore a tall, pointed hat with a feather. He looked super weird, yeah. But I liked how different he was. One night, just as I was about to drift off to sleep, something caught my attention. Flickering lights dancing across my ceiling. My heart pounding, I crept out of bed and tiptoed to the window. Through the gaps in the curtains, I peered outside, and what I saw nearly stopped my heart. Mr. Thompson was out there juggling flaming torches. Just when I thought it couldn't get any crazier, he made a dozen doves appear out of nowhere. They fluttered around him, only to vanish just as mysteriously. I was glued to the window, my mouth hanging open in shock, unable to believe what I had just seen. I was hooked, totally mesmerized, and I knew I had to find out more. Every night after I was tucked into bed, I'd peek out my window, glued to Mr. Thompson's magic shows. One daring night, I decided to sneak out and meet with him while he was in the middle of a magic trick. Mr. Thompson, how did you make the doves appear? Mr. Thompson spun around, his eyes wide with surprise when he saw me.
Oh, caught me in the act, huh, little one? Those doves? It's all about a little bit of sleight of hand and a whole lot of imagination.
With a mischievous grin, he pulled a gold coin from behind my ear, making it glimmer in the moonlight.
It's about making the impossible seem possible.
Just then, my parents stormed out fuming. We know you're a retired circus performer, but you don't have to be the clown of the neighborhood.
Stay away from our daughter.
My parents dragged me into the house. I couldn't help but ask, why did you talk to Mr. Thompson like that? He's a nice man.
It's not about being nice. It's about setting boundaries. He's part of a world we don't want you to get involved with.
But I wanted to be a part of his world. Magic made me feel alive, and as if by some twist of fate, something truly enchanting happened. When I was 8, Mom brought home my baby brother, Max. He looked like a cute pink troll. I was over the moon, finally having someone to share my secrets with. At night, I'd tell him stories I had heard that day from school. And then the brave knight charged into the dragon's den, sword in hand, ready to rescue the villagers. As the years passed, Max and I grew closer, and for his 5th birthday, I planned something truly magical.
While my parents were asleep, I turned our backyard into an enchanted forest using Dad's camping gear, Halloween decorations, and stuffed animals borrowed from my friends. I snuck Mac outside in his pajamas, his eyes lighting up as he explored it. We enjoyed the most enchanting show under the stars, and by morning, only a trail of glittering leaves remained. Dad looked super confused.
Glittering leaves? How did this happen?
I gave him my best science serious face. Glittering leaves can result from the refraction of light through dewdrops on leaves. After that night, Max was obsessed with Mr. Thompson's shows, so I took him whenever I could. One night, I told Mr. Thompson how much I loved magic, but was kept from learning it by my parents. I asked if he could teach us secretly, and he instantly agreed. And soon, Max and I were sneaking into his workshop to learn tricks almost every night. Eventually, Mr. Thompson put a secret drawer in his tool shed right next to our hedge. We used it to hide all our practice props from our boring parents. When I was 16, Max got his big moment at show and tell. But guess what Dad gave him? His boring rock collection. Just dull gray stones and a long speech on how they were formed. Boring, right? Dad, his classmates will make fun of his boring speech. Yeah, Dad. Can't I bring something more fun, like a can of beans or, I don't know, a roll of toilet paper?
Don't be ridiculous, Max. This rock collection will impress your friends and your teacher.
More like bore them to sleep. I couldn't let Max face the embarrassment of Dad's boring rock collection. So on the day of his show and tell, I stuffed Max's magician outfit, a few playing cards, some double-sided tape, and string into my book bag, and during lunch, I snuck out to drop it off for Max. Kara, what if I mess it up? But what if you don't? Believe in yourself, Max, and let the magic work for you. I decided to stay and support him. I knew how much it would mean to him. My little brother nailed it. Chest puffed with pride, he stood in front of the class, a card floating between his hands. The kids were amazed, clapping and cheering, begging for an encore. He was a total rock star. Us, 86,758. Parents, still 0. But my victory lap was short-lived. When I got home that afternoon...
Kara, where were you this afternoon?
At school? I tried to sound casual.
Oh, really? Then who is this? Your doppelganger?
Holy ravioli! There I was, caught red-handed, cheering like a maniac at the back of Max's class. How was I supposed to know they were recording the whole thing?
And look at Max, dressed like Dracula.
He's a magician, Dad, and he had a great time. I had to stand my ground for me and for Max.
Kara, you know we don't do magic in this house.
But why? It's not hurting anyone.
Magic only leads to disappointment.
But Mom!
Kara, no magic, ever!
As she stormed off, I was more determined than ever to keep magic alive. Not just for me, but for Max too. The next day, I headed straight to the pet store, ready to set my plan in motion. Just as I was about to open the door, it flew open and a girl, clutching a goldfish bowl, crashed into me. Sorry, I'm in a rush. My goldfish is having an emergency. Yeah, it's okay. What's going on? I was trying to get my goldfish some special food before we head to fish yoga class. Fish yoga? A long story, but I better dash before my fish's zen is completely wrecked. I looked at her in amusement as she dashed down the street. I turned and walked into the pet store and spotted the cutest hamster ever. I named him Mr. Whiskers. I wanted him to be a surprise for Max, so I was all set to drop him off with Mr. Thompson. I knocked on the door and it swung open, but no one was there. Help! I looked down and... Wait, was that her? Yes! It was the same girl that bumped into me outside the pet store. Here she was, twisted up like a human pretzel. What are you doing here? Before you ask any questions, can you please help me out of this? I quickly untangled her. Thanks a bunch. I guess you're here to see my grandpa? He's at the supermarket right now. Yep, I'm Kara, his neighbor. I'm Mystic. As in the blue lady from X-Men? Yep. And who's this little guy? This is Mr. Whiskers. Hello, little guy. Before you start doing any complex yoga poses, remember to stretch first. While we waited for Mr. Thompson, Mystic told me that she and her mom had just moved here because her mom got an awesome job in town. Just then, Mr. Thompson walked in looking a bit surprised.
Kara, you're here.
Yes, I want to train Mr. Whiskers to do some tricks and keep him. It's a surprise for Max.
Of course he can. He's my fish yoga instructor. He's practically an animal whisperer.
I'd love to help. Meet me back here tomorrow after school.
Mystic had enrolled in my school, and the next day we strutted down the hall together. As we passed a group of students, the school bully focused on Mystic.
Well, well, well. Looks like the circus left a glow stick behind.
Before I could say anything, Mystic's eyes sparkled with mischief.
You know, very strange things happen in the circus. This one time a dragon came out from nowhere.
Suddenly, a huge dragon appeared. While the bully was staring at the dragon, Mystic gave him a wedgie